Hello everybody, welcome to Cape Rugby TV. It's Wednesday night when we talk about Western Province Club Rugby, all the very best of what's happening in the world of club rugby. Exciting show tonight. We're going to take a look at some of the highlights between Marties and Brackenfell, NTK and UCT. And of course, our featured game over the weekend was Western Zebras up against Masipumalele. Before I talk to you more about that, let me just say big thanks to our sponsors that are on board with Cape Rugby TV. Score Energy Drinks, as you know, Score on board with Western Province Club Rugby and the Club Rugby Sevens, and of course supporting many of the clubs out there. MChem 24-hour pharmacy on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. Dulux Maitland at number 30 Coburg Road. They'll sort out all your paint suppliers. And of course Springbok Atlas, your bus transport company. Springbok Atlas has got a bus service available for you, for the clubs, for the sports organizations out there at some really great prices. So make sure you get all the Springbok Atlas. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later during the course of the show. And of course the Springboks were out at Tygerberg at Ravensmead on Monday. We managed to get a camera out there and catch some of the highlights. Let me introduce you to the panel this evening. Jerome Parvater, nice to have you back.
Yeah, JP, it's good to be back. I see you very brave. I normally sit here with the t-shirt, but it's very cold out there, so I keep my jersey on today.
Well, you look very fancy, Jerome.
Thank you.
We're quite happy with that. But talking about dressed up to perfection, Jonathan van der Walt.
How's it, JP? Thanks for having me again.
Love that. That's actually a very nice tracksuit you guys have got there.
It's very nice and warm. So just like Jerome, struggling with a bit of a cold here, but it is nice and cold. Last night it was about 6 or 7 degrees on the rugby field, so winter is still here to stay for a few more weeks. Eh?
Yeah, clearly winter has made a comeback.
Yeah, we had a yesterday afternoon when that storm broke down. We were on the field, and then this ice wind. But it was like killing it, like right through your bones.
Yes, and of course, Durbel, you will see the jersey behind us in a second. Durbel has got their Decombined jersey, sponsored by Decombined at least, with us here on the show now. So look out for the Durbel jersey. Right, folks, as we mentioned earlier on, a couple of highlights. Of course, the guys from Club Live, the Referees Society, has been sharing it with us. Marties against Brackenfell, NTK against UCT. And then we're going to look at some of the stats as well. Now, the stats for us coming up in the show: Stellenbosch against Durbel, big game this weekend. Paarl against Franschhoek, that's position 1 and 2 in Super League B. And then we've chosen in the Southern League, Rocklands and Retreat. So they're sitting at number 7 and 5 on the log. So we're going to take a look at the interesting stats there of Rocklands and Retreat. All right, folks, let's take a look at the first highlights we've got now between Marties and Brackenfell. Right, folks, let's go straight to it then. Jerome, big win there for Marties, 85-19. I was predicting a slightly smaller margin. Brackenfell have been very good in Super League A so far this year. Marties have been, well, they haven't, they've got a lot of catch-up games at the moment. But it's a runaway game.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams, if they play on a Wednesday, they sort of look at who they play against and then keep some of the main players for the Saturday if they think they have a chance to win that Saturday. Because I think Durban knew that their chances going to Stellenbosch and beat them there, it's not that good. That's why I think there's a couple of changes I can see in their team to keep the guys for Saturday, because it is tough to play on a Saturday.
So you think Brackenfell wasn't fielding their strongest outfit?
No, I could see there was a few guys out there. Yeah. So that was their plan. But I don't think it's good for rugby, because it's not good for the team playing on that night, because there was no defense, and you can see like Brackenfell is known for fighters and play. So that wasn't a great performance in the first half there.
Jono van der Walt, distinguished rugby coach. Give us some of your statistical analysis there, looking at the game itself. Maybe it's a little bit hard to tell because it's just try after try, and we only highlighted some of the tries there.
I think if we just look at the league, I think Brackenfell started off, they were one of the only teams to still be unbeaten a few weeks ago. And I kind of agree with Jerome, but at the same time, I do think if you're a team and you want to fight for a top six, or you want to be competitive, you have to use every single game to get points, whether it be 4 tries or lose within 7. And there's nothing better than a Wednesday night to go play at the Darnie Craven to go and pull off like an upset win, so to speak. And Brackenfell are lying 5th on the log at present with many games to come, and again, everyone is eyeing out that top 6 so that they can have a playoff chance to hopefully still kind of keep their season hopes alive.
Yeah, right, folks. So it was a big win there for Marties, 85-19. I'm hearing the guys here, but 85-19. I was hoping to see a smaller margin. But Jerome, if we're just talking about some of the game components. Regardless of the fact that they might have been playing some resting some players perhaps, if you look at the game itself, the defence was obviously leaking.
Yeah, the defence was leaking, but their set pieces was good. Their scrums was good because they were holding Marties in the scrums, so that was good. But just poor defence. It looks like, I don't know. It looks like the guys. Yeah. Like Jono was saying, they went into this game thinking, we're not gonna play tonight. We're not gonna get points. And with Marties also have a couple of changes, because a lot of the Marty players went with the under-21s to Riversdale, and they also had a lot of guys out.
So they also had guys out.
So they also had guys out. So it's.
So Jono,
I suppose it could have been a better challenge from Brackenfell.
Yeah, Jono. I mean, what do you do? I mean, you guys, most coaches, they rest players, and then you end up bringing guys from your second team, perhaps into your first team. What do you do on game day? Well, how do you prepare for that? Because those guys are not necessarily all practicing with the first team, or do you start preparing it in advance and saying, okay, we need to get these guys now ready for the drill? You know that it might go against you. So you've got to get some basics in play.
Look, again, I think you could call it horses for courses or different coaches. I still believe you kind of prepare to win every game that you play. So it doesn't matter whether you're playing the team that's 14th or the team that's first. You go out with your best possible team that you have on the day. Yes, you could make early substitutions to try and rest a few players, but you definitely don't want to go into any fixture with a half-cocked team and try and go there and hope for the best. You want to go and put your front foot forward, and hopefully you come out victorious on the day.
All right, folks, we're going to take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we're going to take a look at the match between NTK and UCT. Of course, Score Energy Drink is on board with Cape Rugby TV. If you want to win yourself a case of Score Energy Drinks, grab your mobile phone and SMS the word SCORE to 33090. 33090, and you put yourself in the mix to win a case of Score Energy Drinks. 33090. Congratulations to last week's winner, Kevin Brown. Kevin walks away with a case of Score energy drinks. And just remember, folks, if you have missed that number, download the Cape Rugby TV mobile app. It's available on iTunes or on Google Play. And just go and push the SMS button, and that'll open up the competition screen for you to SMS directly to the show, to 33090, and just SMS the word SCORE. We'll take a break, and when we come back, NTK up against UCT. Well, welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV. We're getting highlights at the moment from the Referee Society. Some of the highlights we've pulled out so far, Marty's against Brackenfell, NTK up against UCT. We're going to take a look at that now in a second. A little bit later, we're going to be looking at Western Zebras up against Masiphumelele. Masiphumelele has been lying at number 1 on the log, unbeaten for the entire season. Western Zebras knew that this past weekend was going to be a critical game for them to stay in that top 6 and then challenge potentially for the first spot. They had to win this game. Masi, though, stay in first place, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a second or so. Let's check out the highlights now in the match between NTK and UCT. Right, there we go. Win there for UCT, 45-33 over NTK. NTK has been struggling a little bit at on the log. They're sitting at number 10 on the log at the moment. Jerome, but it certainly doesn't look like that was an easy game for UCT. And UCT have been the guys everyone's talking about as a potential challenger this year.
Yeah, and also NTK, they've been doing, they're down on the log, but they're much better than last year, because last year they were getting hidings 70, 80 points. So they're much better a much better team this year. And I think, yeah, the same with UCT. I think they underestimate NNK a bit. High scoring game, poor defense from UCT. Really poor defense, but I mean, NNK took their chances and they scored a couple of good tries.
Jono, looking at that game there, looking at the highlights, it does look like the guys were losing concentration on the odd occasion. A little bit of back and forth that we saw there.
Yeah, look, I think again, let's give credit to NNK first. I think like we're chatting about earlier on, they're a team that is very competitive this year. The games that they are losing are not very big margins, which shows that again, the coaching staff, the club, the morale is high, and it's only a matter of time before they just maybe cut out some of the basic errors. And then again, you've got to look at UCT. Maybe the Saturday, Wednesday games are starting to catch up to the guys, and injuries and guys in and out. And again, it just shows you how tough this league is, that every single game you have to be up for it and you have to bring your A game. Otherwise, again, anybody can be beaten on the day.
Yep, it's definitely tough being a university. Obviously, you've got to play 2 games in a row sometimes. But there again, the flip side is, as a university, you've got thousands of players to draw on. So
I feel nothing for the universities. All they do is go study and play rugby and go to gym. So they must take it. They must take it, wear it, and dry their eyes, so to speak.
All right, Jerome. But it's of course important that if you're going to play at the level that we're talking about here, Super League A in Western Province Club Rugby is one of the toughest leagues in the world. And if you are going to stay at the top, you can't allow your concentration to break, not for a second. You got to shut down every potential hole.
Yeah, if you look at a lot of the games in Super League A, JP, teams are competitive till the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Then the other team, it's fitness or lack of concentration, and the other team that really wants to win on the day will go through. But there's not a lot of all these teams. They are very competitive, and you can see even if St. George's, they're doing well.
Yeah.
They're not getting points, but they're doing well. But it's so competitive. So it's just that little bit of luck that they need also.
You just got to make it happen, yeah. So let's quickly take a look at the full results then in Super League A. It was, of course, Stellenbosch 85-19 win over Brackenfell. UCT beating SK Warmers last week, and then Brackenfell 23-20 over SK also. That was, of course, on the Saturday game. Durban with a win over UWC 40-22, False Bay 49-27 over Union Mill. Hamilton's on Saturday went down to Stellenbosch 47-21. UCT beating NTK 45-33. Villagers with a 5-point win over St. George's, and then Vix beating Belhalf 74 points to 7. Quickly taking a look at the logs then, it's Durbanville who are still the front runners. They're staying at the top of the log. They've played 9 games so far with... now Stellenbosch has got 2 games in hands, but Durban sitting there on 42 points and Stellenbosch on 31, followed by Hamilton's, False Bay, Union Mill and UCT. Those are your top 6 in Super League A. Folks, remember now, Springbok Atlas is of course on board with Cape Rugby TV and has got a transport solution for you. So if you're looking for any bus transport for your away games and you're looking for great prices and the right type of bus, then you can simply get a hold of Rashad Lucky at Springbok Atlas. They've got semi-luxury and luxury coaches and of course anywhere in South Africa, negotiable rates. Those vehicles from 20 seaters all the way up to 60 seaters. Really great prices and specials for the clubs at the moment. So call Rashad Lucky on 506-2572, 506-2572, or rashad.lucky at springbokatlas.co.za. So just reminded again, that telephone number to get a hold of Rashad, 506-2572, 506-2572. And if you forget the number or forget the email address, it's on the Cape Rugby TV mobile app. Just open the app and, of course, push on the bus booking button, and it'll open up a screen for you that says either make a booking via email or via a telephone call. And you just push on that, and immediately it'll go directly through to Rashad Lucky at Springbok Atlas. We'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, we'll be taking a look at the match between Western Zebras against Masi Pumalele. Now, welcome back, everybody. Cape Rugby TV. As you know, of course, big games for us over the weekend. We did earmark the match between Masi Pumalele and Western Zebras as one of the featured games of the week. We know that Masi Pumalele has been sitting at number 1 on the log, unbeaten this entire season, and Western Zebras were challenging. So this was our featured game over the weekend. We'll be taking a look at the highlights, first half and second half, of the highlights between Western Zebras and Masi Pumalele. And then we'll catch up with the captains and coaches from Masi, William Solomon and Warren Edwards. And then Western Zebras captain, Siyavuya Kechanykhana. And of course, Western Zebras coach, Bulelani Misi. Let's first now take a look at the first half highlights. Zebras against Masi. Jerome, Massey's been sitting at number 1 on the log, unbeaten, but obviously Zebras here took advantage of playing on home ground.
Yeah, and you can definitely see that Massey, they normally don't kick. I don't see them kick penalties for poles, but they were desperate for a win there, so Zebras didn't make it easy for them, and they've got quite a good kicker. So the kicker kept them in the game, but then you know you're in trouble if you take every penalty. Doesn't matter where it is for 2 poles, then you know the team is in trouble. So well done to Zebras.
The other interesting thing about Zebras was how many former Springbok players that were actually there to support them. Jongi Nokwe and a couple of other guys actually turned up on the day. I suppose that makes a difference, Jono, when you get your boys on the side of the field and you've created some legends out there already, and the crowd is certainly going to love that.
Oh, look, I think in the build-up and in the beginning of the game, it's going to be massive. But I think once that whistle goes and the guys kind of get into it, everyone forgets about everything. And it's kind of they go and play rugby, and then at half-time you get to kind of refocus a little bit. I think the first half was very, very tight. And the second half was maybe also so tough, but at least you saw a little bit more of the ball doing the work and the guys giving the ball some air and width there.
Right, let's catch up now with Western Zebras, Masi Pumlele, at least captain William Solomon.
Yeah, it was a tough game for our guys. We knew coming here to Langa to play Western Zebras was always going to be tough. We saw where they were on the log. So yeah, we knew it was going to be a tough one. We had a big target on our back being top of the log, and we knew it was going to be a tough game from the start. Yeah, boys are coming together nicely. We've had a few tough games. We had Silvertree at home, Hamadias at home, both tight games. Also Caledonian Roses away was also a tough one. But yeah, today unfortunately we came unstuck against a committed Western Zebras team. They definitely brought it on their home turf, and they were just slightly more hungry than us. But yeah, my team's coming together nicely. Hopefully this is just a minor bump in the road, and we can hit our straps going into the top 9.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a bad day at the office. Western Zebras, they threw everything at us at the breakdown. We were very vulnerable at pull and post, and they just kept on exploiting that, and we just didn't react accordingly. We need to, as individuals, as players, need to look after the ball. We've got to take pride in it. And we can't just throw away 50-50 passes. It's got to be accurate passes, it's got to hit the target, so we can create momentum. Well, I did do, I've got a few guys, I've got a bit of depth now, so I want to get them some game time before we go into the top 9. And then that just creates the extra depth, the confidence of the players when they step in. And I want that bench to make an impact.
All right, William Solomon, captain of Masi Pumlele, and Warren Edwards, coach of Masi. Jerome, obviously the guys are thinking strategically. They're talking about playing the bench and taking advantage of every opportunity. I mean, it's testimony in terms of the game. 1 point.
Yeah, I think a lot of times guys think they're complacent in the team. So as Warren was saying, so you have to look at guys now and maybe start some other guys and see what they can do, because I think sometimes guys can get comfortable in the team.
All right, let's catch up now with the Western Zebras captain Ziyavuya Kechengana and of course the coach Bulelani Misa.
Yes, we played very well. We knew that Masi didn't lose for the season. We knew that it was going to be a tough game, so we had to prepare very well in the week so that we can come here and play very well against them. We're in a building up phase. We're building up, so we brought in some new guys, some young blood. So we are a team that is growing every season. Yes, we're looking very forward for the top 9. We've had some bad luck during the seasons. I think we've lost 3 games. So hopefully that we make the top 9 and we go through to Super League C.
Yeah, the boys did very well, because even to our preparations for the game, we know Masi is a tough side, because they didn't lose any game this season. So it was a tough one for us, and it's a must win for us, because we are number 3 on the log now. We know that if we lose this game, then we are going to be out to the top 3. Yeah, what makes different is I told the boys that we must use the front line. That driving malls and pick and drive, that works for us, because I know Mercy is not good to the defense. So that's why I say we must work them there in front. Then that's what works for us. Yeah, we're going to be ready for the Caledon Roses. It's a tough side, and they fighting to go there to that top 3, because I think they are number 4 on the log. So it's going to be hard. But if we prepare well to the practice, then we can beat them.
Positive words there from Bulelani Misi. Jerome, what will this mean for Zebras? They will draw a lot from this win.
Yeah, as the coach was saying now, they needed this win because they would have pretty much been not out, but they would have struggled to be in the top 3. That's their plan. That's where they wanted to be.
Well, let's take a quick look at the logs, and we can maybe get an idea there. Sitting at the top of the pile, as you can see there, Western Zebras have now moved into 3rd place on the log. Going into this game, they were sitting at about number 6 on the logs. They're Massey on the top, Silvertree in 2nd place on Zebras now. And of course, Silvertree still have a game in hand, but this does open it up now. Jono, with still another 2 or 3 games remaining, if Massey slip at any stage and Zebras or Silvertree take 5 points wins from these games, as you were saying, if you take every point on every game, it makes a difference at the end. And we could see, Warren Edwards will be wanting to make sure that he doesn't slip at all, because they are breathing down his neck.
Oh, look, I think again you can almost just see by the 2 different interviews that Warren's obviously bitterly disappointed with his side. You want to come in almost unbeaten, and you play a game kind of away from home, and you get in and your players don't quite bring it. Maybe, like we said, complacency does kind of set in. We're unbeaten. This is another team, and maybe everyone's just expecting to go roll and steamroll them. Of course. Zebra is completely different. They're fighting for a top 3 spot, and they're fighting to kind of get promoted. So almost a team on two different spectrums. And again, just like we spoke about earlier on, the team that definitely wants it more for the full duration of time often comes out a little bit better on the other side.
All right, folks, big game there then. What a fantastic game to watch. Western Zebras against Massey Phumelele. A little bit later during the course of the show, we're still going to take a look at some of the matchups. Our matchup this week is Stellenbosch against Durban, Paarl against Franschhoek, and of course Rocklands up against Retreat. The Springboks were out at Florida Park over the weekend. They were, of course, transported there by Springbok Atlas. They went to go and support the local sides and the local community with their meet and greet, and they had a full training session there as well. We managed to speak to the chairperson of Tygerberg Rugby, Coach Kevin Kivitz, as well as Eben Etzebeth. We all know him, hometown boy, and Springbok. Well, I would go so far as saying that he's become a Springbok legend. A lot of people were out there on the day, 6 different schools and a couple of 100 spectators. Let's see now what happened at Florida Park on Monday afternoon.
Ja, het is belangrijk ook die basically voor het toets. So ek sê, is lekker om mense te sien om support. Dit is 'n normale maandag vir ons, maar ook spesiaal vir ons om uit te kom en ons support te wil oefen. Ja, ek dink kyk maar na ouens stories die span nou so Sia en ek koop ouens wat van wat verskillende agtergronde kom. Ek dink dat jy as jy hard genoeg werk, is dit moontlik vir enige iemand te kan maak.
Ek dink dit is 'n baie goeie dag gewees. Ek dink dat Club Rugby dit nodig, want ek dink as 'n stadion gekom waar Club Rugby amper verlore was in SA Rugby, maar ek dink dit is tyd dat Club Rugby en die Springbokke weer nader aan mekaar beweeg. Kom ek sê, dit gee altyd hoop vir die kinders. Dit gee die kinders hoop. Kyk, jy het 'n speler hier gehad, Damien Dalende. Hy was by Milnerton Hoërskool gewees. Hy was 'n klubspeler by Hamiltons gewees.
Ek het sommer Damien Willems gesien. Hy's baie goed daar.
Damien Dalende is die beste. Hy support vir almal live. Damien Dalende go! Ja, Springbok!
All right, of course, the Springboks going out there to Tygerberg, Kevin Kivitz speaking to us, Eben Etzebeth talking to us. Jono, what a pleasant, what a pleasant moment there. It's in the middle of the rain, it's pouring, Kevin is drenched, Eben is drenched, but the guys are having a joy.
Again, I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant for the community, brilliant for the school kids, brilliant for the Springboks, and brilliant for the club of Tygerberg. Yeah?
Yeah, Jerome, and of course you can hear the guys of their favourites. Damian Willems is clearly he's made his name there amongst the kids. They love him, and the one boy they're talking about, Damian de Allender. I mean, that's lekker.
No, that's good. And also one good thing that Kevin was saying there, which is true, like guys coming from club rugby and became Springboks, like Damian, Eben, they all the guys come from club rugby, and it's as you say, is we mustn't forget the what the clubs did to these players for them to get there, and it's a lot of help from the clubs, and I mean with our club structures and things, guys coming through, it's very good and it's positive. So there is hope for the young guys there, especially that guys talking about Damian de Allender. So you won't the effect that the Springboks still have on people. It's amazing to see, and that youngster, maybe in a few years' time, we'll see him in a Springbok jersey.
Yeah, I think what the part of it that I quite enjoy is the fact that Tygerberg actually made the effort to get in touch with us to tell us that the Springboks are coming, because quite often these rugby clinics and events have gone lost, and nobody would know about it other than just the people that they're on the side of the field. And in this case, we're able to showcase the fact that the Springboks are going out. Now hundreds of thousands of people in South Africa are aware of the fact that the Springboks are busy doing these kind of development, especially in terms of our viewers. So we're happy to showcase that. Anyway, folks, it's time for us to move on. When we come back from the break, we're going to take a look at Super League A, Super League B, and Southern League. We've got some matchups there. Don't forget MChem 24, our pharmacy on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. They've got all of your pharmaceutical needs, your orthopedic needs, as well as, of course, your sports nutrition supplements. So get down to MChem 24, our pharmacy. They've got fantastic parking. It's open, as I said, obviously it's 24 hours a day. So if you need a pharmacy that'll look after all your needs, Mr. Malach and Jill and Lee, they're available there to help you. As soon as you walk in the door there, someone's going to jump on you and say, can we help you? It's got a family environment. It's a really fantastic pharmacy. Best prices. And if you go there and do your shopping and you need to kill a little bit of time, then there's a fantastic coffee shop upstairs with some really good food. So MChem 24-hour pharmacy on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. In fact, you can see the big sign from the side of the road. We'll take an ad break. When we come back from the break, it's time to look at some of the matchups and fixtures coming up this weekend. Right, welcome back everybody. It's of course Cape Rugby TV. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV. So the matchup that we took a look at this week in Super League A has to be the match between Durban and Stellenbosch. They're currently sitting at number 1 and 2 on the log. It's a really big game. You can see there log position 1 for Durban, 2 for Stellenbosch, sitting on points 42 and 31, and they got a win percentage ratio of 89 and 60, at least 86%. So very close. Season points for Durban sitting on 390 points, for Stellenbosch 338 points, although Stellenbosch still have 2 games in hand. Jono, by all accounts, these teams are both scoring average tries. They're scoring tries per game. They're scoring 7 tries per game each, and average points per game is just on 48-43. So this is probably the matchup of the season so far in terms of Super League A.
Yeah, again, I think it's 2 teams, 2 very different teams in contrast. One team, Marties, have had a very successful varsity cup campaign. They've kind of lost players, but it's a never-ending factory of players that just seem to come out of that neck of the woods. And Durban, a team that's got a bit of experience with a few youngsters, got a new coach. They're hitting their straps early on and picking up bonus points along the way. So it's going to be a big game out in Martie land. Just going on recent form, Marties tend to be scoring at a rapid pace. Durban starting games a bit slowly and getting there, but let's just leave it out at the fact that this is going to be a big game.
Yeah, Jerome, looking at the stats here, Durban will be happy that it's not a Wednesday game. It's actually a Saturday game. But I don't think Durban's going to be resting any players for this game.
No, definitely not. This is going to be pretty much the decider. Though we still have a lot of games in hand, but Durban will know after this game where they are, and I think Jono is sitting here and looking like what's going to happen here. So he still have his plans where he wants to go. So all the other teams still have their plans, but this is definitely. It's going to be a good game on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, we know that Jono is wearing a false bay tracksuit, but when he sits on the show, he's got completely neutral. He's got absolutely no interest whatsoever, other than looking at things from a neutral perspective. Jono, if you want to put your neck on the line and you want to call it, Stellenbosch, Durban. Smarties have got home ground. Durban's playing away, but there again, Durban are currently sitting at number 1.
Yeah, I'll say Durban have got an advantage up front in terms of just their bigger, more experienced players. But Stellenbosch, out at Stellenbosch, is not an easy game to play.
Yeah.
I told you
he doesn't want to give a prediction.
The impartial, 50-50, unbiased. Always I like to see an open club put one over the students.
Yeah, you said that before.
From a biased false bet perspective, we'd like the students to do well and Durban to be knocked off their perch. But I still think it'll be a lacquer game.
Jerome, you want to call it, or is it too close to call?
It's close to call, but I said right in the beginning of the season that Durban is the team to watch out. Sort of silent assessors. So it's a tough one to call.
Right. Okay, let's move on to our next game now, folks. Paul up against Franschhoek. We thought that this is an extremely close game as well. We've said from the beginning that Super League B is a real challenging game. So Paul up again. Let's quickly look at the stats there for Franschhoek, sitting on 75% win ratio at the moment. Paul on 75% win ratio. They are both sitting on 31%, 31 log points. They've both played 8. They've both won 6. They've lost 2 each. And if we look at the points against, Franschhoek 133, Paul 158. Season points, though, is in favour of Franschhoek with 270 points on the board. Look at those average points per game, 34 and 32. Average tries per game, 5 and 5. Jerome, we don't often get it as close as this. They are both sitting on 75% win ratio. They've played 8, they've won 6, they've lost 2. It's equal all the way. The interesting thing that jumps out for me is that Franschhoek have got more points, less points scored against them. But there again, they are higher on the season points total so far. Sitting at log position 1 and 2, for me the only potential favour here is that Paul's got home ground advantage.
Yeah, the positive for Franschhoek is it seems like they keep teams out of scoring against them. So they got an advantage going into this game. Looks like their defence is a little bit better than Paul at the moment, but I know Brent Martins. He's coaching Paul, so he's got a few things up his sleeve, and so. But Franschhoek obviously will go with all their people. The whole of Franschhoek, you know how they travel. Mm-hmm. So with their crowd and the community behind them, it's going to be a tough one there. So everybody will be in Paul from Franschhoek.
Jono, I know you're going to have some thoughts on this game. I'm just wondering what they are.
Well, well, obviously we know the coach, especially at Paul. I think Paul have got some very big experience and big name players in their side, so they're going to need to draw on all of that experience for this home game. Yeah. It is a very evenly contested match in terms of your stats that we have on paper. Let's just have home ground advantage, a bit of experience, guys that have kind of been there and done that, and let's just see if Paul can see it through.
Sorry, JP, it's Herman Masimla. Brent Martins is in the other club at Paul. Herman Masimla is actually the coach. Sorry.
Herman Masimla, of course, former coach at Primrose, coaching at Paul now. The other game we thought we would take a look at, which is very close, Rocklands and Retreat. Now, this is in the Southern League. We will take a look at the fixtures in the rest of the leagues in a second, as well as the results. But this is now slightly lower down on the log, but for both of these teams, it'll be important to win these games to get to the top of the log. Win ratio there for Rocklands 57% and for Retreats 71%. They're sitting at log position 5 and 7. 27 and 22 on log points. They've played 7 and 7, and of course slightly higher on the win percentage there for Retreat. But looking at this, Jono, for any team now, if you just look at it, every game is an important game. We often talk about, if you're at the top, like we looked at Marties and Stellenbosch, we're talking about how important that game is to get a first or a second or a third and fourth place for them. But it's equally as important for teams that are sitting at 13, 14 in the log. They want to make sure that they're climbing up. When you're sitting at the middle of the log, like we see Retreat and Rocklands here, you must win, especially if you're closer now to the bottom of the season already. You want to make sure that you pull this off, because this essentially it takes the one team and pushes them up, and the other one pushes them down. So these mid-table games seem to be make or break games.
Again, there's a lot to play for, whether you're at the top, the middle, or the bottom, to be quite honest, because you're either playing for a top 6, or you're trying to avoid relegation, or you're playing for top honours, or you're playing for personal pride within your community as well. You know, we all of us go into a league season, and we might have aspirations to kind of win every single time, but we have to be realistic about some of our goals, and either we need to be competitive and give ourselves a shout. I think that's why the league format in this particular season is great, because it's not just one round and then that's your season done, and if you lose one or two you finish, or if you lose a couple and you end, it's done. There now is an opportunity to have playoffs, so that if you do make a top 6, it's still you almost have a second bite at the cherry, so to speak, where, you know, if you maybe let one or two games slip along the way, you now have a playoff kind of game. So to make that top 6 is a huge incentive for the mid-table guys as well as the top guys, to make sure that you can still end on top come September, October.
Right, folks, and I'm pretty sure Retreat will be flying on a high at the moment. They're celebrating 120 years of history. So Retreat come off their celebrations. Anthony Elmerson and the guys organised all the events over the last week or so, with Retreat now flying high at 120 years worth of history. If you have not yet joined the Western Province Rugby Supporters Club, The Faithful, then now's your opportunity. For just R1,000, you can get yourself a Stormers jersey, a brand new cap, R500 Adidas voucher, a membership card. That's, of course, the Faithful membership card. The official certificate of membership, a bonus gift from the likes of Bright Rock and the other sponsors, a free trial gym access membership. That's, of course, a Virgin Active, and a Faithful SIM card starter package. And all of that will be delivered to your door courtesy of DHL. The Stormers and Western Province Rugby Supporters Club are there for you for just R1,000. Go to www.wprugby.com and join the Faithful.
One of our greatest assets are our fans, the Faithful, and we really wanted to create something unique, something world-class, a supporter club that engaged and interacted with all our fans, not only within the Western Cape, but regionally, nationally, and in fact internationally. We have the best fans in the world, and we believe we put together the most amazing, unique and innovative supporter program. And we call on you to stand together with us. Are you one of the Faithful?
Welcome back, everybody. It's Cape Rugby TV, proudly supported by MChem 24-hour pharmacy, Score Energy Drinks, Dulux Maitland at number 30 Coburg Road, your paint specialist supplier, Springbok Atlas, your bus transport company, and of course they are available to spec your property, spec your house, and make sure that you have all of the various paint supplies that you might need. Let's take a look at the fixtures coming up this weekend. In Super League A, St George's up against Vix, Marties up against Durban, UCT and Villagers, UWC, Union Mill, Tygerberg, False Bay, SK are up tonight against NTK, and SK Warmers take on Vix. Any games jump out there for you, Jono? Yes. Other than Durban and Stellenbosch?
I think St George's Vix will be interesting. I think UCT Villagers, neighbours down the road. Tygerberg, we take on Tygerberg at Florida Park, and then I think quite a close game will be SK Warmers NTK, which will be Wilbur's old club up against his new club, and 2 teams that are also fighting for some log points.
Yeah, all right, folks, let's take a look at the fixtures in Super League B now. Of course, Primrose up against Peniel Villages, Helderberg up against Collegians, Vineyards take on Kales River, Young Peoples in Belleville, Rangers and Craven, and Paarl up against Franschhoek. Jerome, there are a lot of games here that you could talk about. You could look at the likes of Primrose and Peniel Villages. Peniel Villages beat Kales River. Primrose are, of course, down from Super League A. That's going to be a tough game. If we look at Young Peoples in Belleville, there's another tough game. Yeah. Young Peoples have been challenging. We know how dangerous Belleville can be. And of course, I think the one that jumps up, and we did look at the stats there, Paarl against Franschhoek, 1 log position, 1 and 2. Any ones that jump out for you there? Belleville maybe?
Yeah, Young Peoples in Belleville, that's always a good game. So that's going to be a tough game in Paarl. Vineyards in Kales River, they're also fighting out to get in the top 3. So yeah. Vineyards in Paarl. So lots of rugby in Paarl, good rugby in Paarl this weekend.
It's interesting that you say that though, because on the scrum, when we looked at the scrum system, we see that there's no Paarl fixtures in the league this weekend. So we're assuming it's because there's so many close games, big home games here this weekend. The likes of Vineyards playing, of course, those Dal Josephat fields will be pretty much occupied. Do you think I got it right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much.
Yeah, no, it will be. Yeah, and I mean, Paarl and Franschhoek is also playing, so there's a lot of games in Paarl this weekend.
Let's take a look at the results quickly in Super League C before we take a look at the fixtures in Super League C. Blue Jets with a 29 points to 33 win over Scottsdene. Busy Bees beating Goodwood 30-28. Elsie's went down to Lunga. Kylemore with a win over Young Wesley. Strand United with a 44-24 win over Manenberg Rangers. And then, of course, Macassar 31-12 over Young Stars. Young Stars still have to put some winner on the board, and they're going to have to start getting on the game soon. Let's take a look at the fixtures coming up in Super League C. Solarians up against Strand United, Scottsdene and Young Stars, Manenberg Rangers against Goodwood, Macassar Young Wesleys, Kylemore, Elsie's, and Blue Jet and Strand. In the City League, of course, we see the CPUT Gardens up against Perseverance, Progress and Police, Western Zebras and Hamadias, Young Ideas, Masipumalele, Watsarinia take on Temperance and City. And then in the Southern League, it's Rocklands up against Retreat, Morningstar and Young Brothers, Thistle take on Lagunya, Titans against Bishop Lavis, and Peninsula are up against Silver Tree. Southern League fixtures, we did take a look at that. Jerome, Rocklands Retreat. Jono, you've been with us now for long enough to know that Morningstar are a danger side in the Southern League. They're up against Young Brothers. Without looking at the logs here or at any stats, they will be looking to continue to fly high.
Yeah, look, again, I just think it's we've all been training for the whole year, about 7-8 months going in now. Guys are already hitting their straps in terms of rugby. Errors are down to a minimum, and I just think it's about time that home teams start getting their points and making sure that they start positioning themselves well in terms of the log. Come the next few weeks. You know, we've got about 7-8 weeks before the end of the season, and now it's time to start getting your log points in.
Yeah, Jerome, from a coaching perspective at the moment, just at Western Province Rugby, there's a couple of coaching courses coming up, a couple of box smart courses also been going on. Western Province seems to be, then you've got 15s conditioning coaches, courses and 7s courses. Quite a lot of work happening at Western Province.
Quite a lot, yeah. There's a level 2 coming up now. And there was a 7s level 2, so quite busy, yeah.
All right, folks, we're going to leave it at that. It's, of course, very exciting rugby coming up this weekend. Hopefully it rains constantly except for a few hours on Saturday afternoon. Jerome, thanks for joining us on Cape Rugby. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back, JP. And Saturday, hopefully try to go to 2 fields close by to go and see some good rugby.
Jono, where will you be on Saturday afternoon?
We'll be at Florida Park. We have a bye with some schoolboy rugby, so there's no schoolboy rugby.
That's your chosen game for the weekend.
That is correct, yes. So we'll be busy from about 12 o'clock right through till the evening. And Florida Park's always a nice place to stay around and kind of meet and greet some of our old friends. So best of luck to all the teams in the Western Cape. I was just thinking, if it was cold last night by us, I'd hate to know what it's like in Paarl. Maybe it's like in the low degrees, maybe a 0.1, 2. I don't know what kind of gloves or what kind of kit those guys using it at practices, but definitely last night we had balaclavas, beanies, gloves, everything was coming out, skin tights. So very, very cold last night. And
well, it is still a little bit chilly. In fact, it's chilly out there, so spare a thought, in fact, for the folks that are cold out there. Right, folks, that's a wrap from the show at Cape Rugby TV. We will see you again next week, same time, same place. Have a fantastic rugby weekend. Bye-bye.